So the other day on Twitter, I was talking about how I'm going to be doing speakdoms all week, and this user named SeanZ01 replied back and said, "Could I suggest a topic?" He wrote, "Feelings of depression even though you're at the top of the game. I get this a lot from being burned out and always wanting to keep succeeding." Well, that's a couple things going on there, okay? First of all, I want to just say that depression does not always correlate with situations. There's two different kinds of depression. There's situational depression and actual clinical depression. If you suffer from clinical depression, which you wouldn't know unless you went to a therapist and got studied and looked at, you're going to be depressed even if you're successful. You're going to be. Even if you're having a good day, you might still have the feelings of depression because your dopamine and serotonin levels are a tiny bit off balance. You may need medication for that. Sometimes therapy can help, but usually it's a combination of therapy and medication to balance your levels. Now, if this is situational depression, there's a couple things that could be going on here. Now, I don't know your specific situation or anybody else's who's watching this, but if you're having what you would consider a good life, a successful life, happy life, and you're depressed, that means there could be something else that you feel like you're missing or you're striving for. It could also mean that you're sad about something. You got to figure out what it is. Also, one thing I will tell you is that it's very lonely at the top. Very, very lonely. So even if you are successful at whatever it is that you happen to be successful at, the problem is that breeds envy in a lot of people, and it also breeds what we call clout chasers now, or users, where you'll have people kind of join your inner circle or try to join your inner circle who don't really try to get the best benefits from you. Let me rephrase that. That's not what I meant to say. They don't really have your best interest in mind. They just kind of want to leech off of you. And that happens a lot to a lot of people. It does happen where you'll have these people who they don't really care about you or what happens to you as long as you are successful, as long as you are respected. They're going to try and glom off of that to make themselves feel better or to get themselves paid or whatever the reason is. So you have to deal with that as well. This happens a lot in the YouTube community. It happens a lot with athletes and actors and anybody who has any sort of fame, whether it be small internet fame or big TV, movie, Robert Downey Jr. fame. You're going to deal with those people, which is why a lot of successful people who are wealthy do get depressed because they have trust issues. They don't know who to trust. They don't know who their real friends are. They have no idea, with the exception of those that were their friends prior to their success, who were able to sort of grit their teeth and live their life and, sort of be there for them through the thick and the thin, through the good and the bad. That's really how you can tell. Now, you mentioned something else. You said being burnt out and always wanting to keep succeeding. Burnout is different. Now, burnout can cause depression. Burnout can definitely be a cause of depression for certain. Because when you're feeling burnt out, you feel like you're creatively at a writer's block, at a standstill. And I have felt this way myself several times in my life. It happens. The key to fixing burnout, from my perspective, now everyone's different. Some people will tell you to meditate. Some will tell you to kind of do what's called brainstorming, bouncing ideas off of friends or even yourself, talking to a friend about what you want to do. There's lots of different things you can do. But the thing for me, anyways, is when it comes to burnout, is I think the best thing to do is to just have fun. Take a day and just do something you enjoy doing that isn't really too thought-provoking. Like, for example, play a video game, or which in some cases can be thought-provoking, but I'm talking about more so in the realm of what you're trying to create, in the realm of your creativity. So, take some time to do something that's kind of mindless fun. Older people would do stuff like crossword puzzles and things like that. It might seem boring to us younger folks, but I mean, that's what they would do to kind of get their minds off of the grind. The thing about inspiration when it comes to me is that I get inspired by forces beyond my control. I have a lot of ideas for video topics, especially over on Geekdom 101, the main channel. But sometimes I can't find the right words on that particular day. For example, I did a video recently about the end of Dragon Ball GT Explained. I've had that entire video in my head. The points, the bullet points of that video I've had in my head for well over a year. right? I have a ton of videos in my head that I've had planned for well over a year, sometimes even more than a year, sometimes even 5 years. I have videos that I'm putting out now that I talked about doing 5 years ago. And that's good. I mean, I consider myself a creative person in that instance, but the problem is the words, not just if you're writing a script. I don't really do scripts, but some of y'all do. Or if you're just doing bullet points, you got to find the right words to push yourself into delivering them correctly and eloquently. And sometimes you just can't. It's just not there. So you got to wait for it to hit you. And in the meantime, work on other projects. That's what I do. Now, again, that works for me. Everyone's different. Everyone has their own method. But for me, that's kind of what I do when it comes to burnout. The thing is, it's all about passion, because if you have passion for what you do, you will still have burnout. There's no way of avoiding burnout, but it tends to come a little bit less fierce. You tend to overcome it a bit faster, and you tend to be inspired and keep yourself busy, because of the passion that you have for what you're doing, So, these are things to think about. They really are food for thought. You have to really figure out why you're depressed. That's kind of the main thing. Figure out what it is that's making you depressed. Even though you seem to be doing fine on the surface, are you missing something? Are you lonely? Are you seeking more validation? Are you questioning your own value? Right? What is it? There's got to be something. Unless, of course, you have clinical depression, in which case it's just your dopamine levels. But figure out what it is. That's really the main thing. I can't tell you because I don't know what you're thinking, but you just got to figure out what it is that's causing the depression, what it is that's really at the root of this problem. In some cases, you might just need to give yourself a self-esteem boost. There's times where I will sit around and, be a little bit pissed off at myself, or a little bit upset that a certain video I put out didn't do as many views as I wanted it to do. And, that's part of the game, though. You get on to the next one. That's me. Doesn't do so well, cool, on to the next one. We can always try promoting it again later, changing the thumbnail later. I don't really try to have regrets when it comes to these kinds of things. Because the thing about YouTube or Twitch or whatever, I'm going to say YouTube here, because I know about YouTube more than anything else when it comes to business, and that is that you can always go back and take an old video and remake it again. People do it all the time, or do a better version of what you're trying to say. You have multiple channels, you have endless lives, because YouTube does not give you a limit as far as how much you can upload. You can upload whatever you want. So if I got a video that I made 5 years ago that I want to remake again, but with better quality, better editing, better audio, I can do it, and people do it all the time, So just remember that you can always revisit a project. If you don't want to, if it's not really your thing right now, it's okay. Like, as a creative person, it's just something you have to deal with, But everybody has burnout. I've been putting out 3 to 7 videos a week nonstop for 5, almost 6 years, dude. And yeah, I've had days where I get burnt out, but we come back from it, because of passion, because of the willingness to continue. That's what it's all about. Because new ideas pop up in my head. I've often laughed when people say I'm out of ideas. Like, I don't understand how you could possibly say I'm out of ideas if I've been putting out 3 to 7 videos a week non-stop. Like, it's mine, with new topics and new sort of, new, I guess, like, themes and things like that. I don't really understand. It's just the only people who say that shit are people who don't make YouTube videos, because you can't look at my body of work on Geekdom 101. I have 2,200 videos on there and say I'm out of it. You just can't. Like, you have to be a moron. You are literally a moron. Don't understand business. And so somebody will sit there and they'll say, oh, you're out of ideas because you did a video on TN's technique. Well, no, how about I just want to do a fucking video on it because I like it? How about that? It can't be that. It's always got to be something negative because they project themselves onto you. Because if you're a better creator than me, then fucking prove it. I've always said that to people. YouTube is free imperialistic capitalism. Not imperialistic, free capitalism. So if you're better than me, then you fucking make a channel and you do it better than me. I've often said that. It doesn't even bother me. But it's like people talk out of their ass so often on the internet and criticize us, not me, everyone gets it, when they don't even make videos. They don't even do what we do. Like, why would I listen to you, bro? You're the best fryer at McDonald's, dude. That's great. If I want to know how to make fries, I'll ask you. Don't teach me about making videos. I talk to people who make videos about making videos. People who are more successful than me, equally, or ones who are trying to be on the come up. That's who you talk to, your peers, people who can understand the process of creativity, editing, recording, all that stuff. Not some goofball kid with a Goku avatar on Twitter who thinks he knows how to do YouTube better than you. Then why don't you do it, buddy? I've made a living doing this for 5 years. Who wouldn't want to do that shit? Who would not want to do what they love for 5 years? I've always said that, and then these teenagers are always thinking I'm bragging. I'm not bragging. I'm happy. I'm genuinely happy with my career. You know, and so you're going to deal with that as well. And that used to get me depressed, but not anymore, because after going to therapy and learning techniques and learning more about myself, my confidence level is so up. And that's something else you can do also for your depression, is you get your confidence level up. Remember that the value you have to people. Even if you're not the biggest, you might not be the biggest shark in the pond here, but if you're a big enough shark that it impacts people and that, people enjoy your work, why not keep doing it? And most importantly, do you enjoy your work? That's what's important. I hope this helped. Thanks for watching.